Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's the author of the book Credibility Nation, no other than Mr. Mitchell Levy.
Daniel, nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Mitchell. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Oh, sure. I'm in, well, first we'll start with books. I normally
Yes.
do this afterwards. I've actually written 65 books. I also, for my companies, of book publishing companies, we have published over 750 books.
Wow.
I'm in Silicon Valley. Been here for 37 years, happily married for 35, have a 26-year-old son, and I've started around 20-ish companies. I sat on the board of a public firm. And what got me to the book Credibility Nation and a very interesting view in my life was I interviewed 500 thought leaders on the concept of credibility. I did that between 2019 and 2020. It was my Napoleon Hill journey, and I unlocked a ton of secrets. So I wrote the book Credibility Nation. I've got a Credibility Nation community, and also did a TEDx called "We Are Losing Our Humanity," and I'm tired of watching it happen.
Wow. Mr. Mitchell Levy, thank you so much for sharing your talent to the world. And looking forward for more empowering books like this. So, what does this mean to be a credible in a professional context?
You know, the definition of credibility is looked at by so many different people in a different way. So what I want to say is that credibility is not what you see in the dictionary. What it'll say in the dictionary is that credibility is the quality in which you're trusted. I'm going to add to that. Credibility is the quality that you're trusted, known, and liked. And then underneath the trust, know, and like are 10 values, which are relatively easy to echo.
Yes. So, what are the core principles of a credibility nation?
You know, the focus of the book and also the community is to allow people to look at the world and to be more credible. So what does it mean to be trusted? What does it mean to be known? How can you be liked? And so under each of those areas are values. And so under being trusted, it is the quality, if you're thinking about it, being vulnerable, having external integrity, authenticity, and then the fourth value is coachability. And what's interesting about that, not we've not been taught to be vulnerable. We've not been taught to be coachable. And that is one of the most important things to do. Under being known, probably the most important there is being a servant leader. So being a service to others, having the intent and commitment to do the right thing. And Daniel, the only thing that was interesting when I was actually there were many things that was interesting, but the only value that was listed twice of all 10 values was a value called integrity. And truthfully, when I published the book, when I did the TEDx, I didn't actually know why it was twice. But you remember when I talked about trust, being trustworthy, or being
Yes.
trusted, the quality of trusted, there was the integrity. It turned out to be your external integrity. Well, under being known, integrity also showed up. And it was about a year later that I figured out that the integrity associated with being trusted was external. The integrity associated with being known, as you get to know somebody, it's your internal integrity. And many people, sometimes you meet somebody and all of a sudden you have this icky feeling and you know there's something wrong, but they're saying all the right things. It's simply because there's a misalignment with their external and internal integrity. That's like an intuitive feeling. And then I'll give you the last two values. What's interesting is I want to share with you how easy it is, apparently, let me say it a different way. How simple it is to be liked, and apparently it's not easy, right? All of this stuff is simple, not easy.
Yes.
And so to be liked, there are two things you need to do. One, show respect. I know that sounds really simple. To me, what that means is coming early, coming prepared, coming with your heart. And so for a podcast, for instance, I was sitting around 15 minutes early. I signed up about 7 or 8 minutes early because I just wanted to make sure I came early. I want to be prepared to look at previous episodes, and I want to be me. I want to show you my heart. So respect is a big piece. Now, if you're doing online Zoom meetings, 1 to 2 minutes early is great. If you're doing physical meetings, 15 minutes early. Like, just the thing that's interesting is make the world about the other person, not about you. Um, the second part of being likable is I call it spreading crud dust. Daniel, it's what you're doing now. It's sharing the ideas, thoughts, and actions of others. So if you can do nothing more than show respect and spread other people's ideas, thoughts, and actions, spread their cred dust, you will absolutely be a very likable person, which you are, by the way.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mitchell. Respect begets respect, as they said. So, how does credibility differ from reputation or influence?
Interesting. Those are great questions. You know, credibility is sort of the feeling you get when it's like I said, the quality which you're trusted, known, and liked. Reputation is a component that actually helps make credibility because part of how you feel about somebody is whether or not there's social proof, online social proof in the physical world, reputation, and it really um, comes down to what have you done in the world? How do you show up? How do people talk about you? And so the reputation is a part of the quality in which you are trusted, known, and liked. And one of the easiest ways, you know what? I should use the word simple. Sorry, let me slash that. And one of the simplest ways for people to actually increase their reputation, because the reputation doesn't need to be global. Reputation needs to be around the audience that needs to see you, is to actually have testimonials and to actually, and more importantly, have video testimonials from your audience who is talking about what does it feel like to have used your service, and that is both reputation and that's also feeling. How does it feel about doing business with you?
Yes. So, how does credibility crucial for professional success?
Crucial is an interesting world because if you look at I don't talk politics, but you look at politicians around the world, some of them are not credible at all, right? And so that's about all I want to say about that. So
Mhm.
I can't use the word crucial, at least not anymore. What I could use though is I could use the word of the, let's say, we'll use a very classic example. Okay. Let's say there are, let's use a good, there we go. Let's say I want to hire a chef to cater an event. Okay. So, what am I looking at? I'm looking at the quality of the food. I'm looking at do they show up on time. I'm looking at if they interact with the audience. Do are the, those in the room are they actually making people feel good? And there are people who will say, and let's say there are two chefs, one that comes early, one that comes prepared, one that always interacts really well, and their food is good. Now let's look at another chef. He's a real jerk, or she's a real jerk. She comes late. The food is great, but she pisses everyone off. Now, there are some people, by the way, reputation about, there are some people who would say, hey, I just want the best food. For me, I want the most credible chef. I want the one that cares about other people. I want the one that the overall experience is good. The actual quality of the food, there's a magnitude of what's more important, because most people, when they leave your party with the other chef, the food was good, but the chef sucked, right? I mean, so I think the thing that's important is from a credibility perspective. Now let's do somebody who's doing LinkedIn, and they're helping people with their LinkedIn profiles and helping them create business with LinkedIn. You want the person who other people have enjoyed working with, not the person with the one size fits all, but the person with the reputation, and they've done things well, and they've done it in a consistent way. And short answer, they're credible. They're trusted. As you get to know them, you like working with them, and they're likable to be around. I think as the world gets more and more automated with AI, the bigger human component is what's going to help people win. And in the human component, it's those that are credible that will even bubble to the top.
Very well said, Mr. Mitchell. Very well said. And what steps can professionals take to build credibility in their field?
I'm gonna. There's a gift that I'd like to give. It's a learning community. It's called the Clarity Superheroes Community. So and you could put that in the show notes. It's aha.pub/superheroes. And in there, I do have some paid for courses, but many of the courses are, somewhere between 5 to 30 minutes long, and they're complimentary. And so, one of the things that's most relevant is from a clarity perspective, understanding who you are and articulating who you are in less than 10 words. So, the most important thing somebody could do in their life, and unfortunately, 98% of people don't do, is to have clarity. Once you have clarity, you have a compass. Once you have a compass, it becomes easier to make decisions. One of the first courses you could take is a course called the Input Output course. It's 16 minutes long. And I guarantee if you go through it, and it's complimentary, guarantee if you go through that course, you will learn how to make decisions that are more in line with what you were looking to do, that's more in line with the clarity that you want to bring to the world, um, in for the rest of your life. And so, to me, what can one person do? Um, Go to the Clarity Superheroes, take a couple of those courses, and it will change who you are and how you show up.
Definitely. So, how can consistency in behavior and communication enhance credibility?
I think it comes down to the part of you mentioned the word reputation before. It comes down to consistency is a great C word. Another one is curiosity, right? If you consistently show up the same way over and over again, what will happen is people will start talking about you. And when you ask for video testimonials or ratings for a number of the sites that have ratings, those ratings turn out to be good quality ratings that consistently show up every time. For many services that we use today, whether it's professional services or retail services, if we're going to do online, we're going to be looking at those ratings. Those ratings come from showing up consistently in a good way. And there's always the oddball that's going to give you a bad rating. And the more good ratings you have, you as an author of a book, as an author of products on Amazon, there's always somebody that's going to trash you just because that's who they are. They're walking through the world negatively. And so one of those compared to 100 or 1,000 good ones makes it wash out. And consistency allows you to show up in a way that you're more credible. And the more credible, the more value you give to people, the more that they'll talk about you. And word of mouth marketing is one of the best tools you can have, depending on the profession you're in. But the one of the best tools you could have in terms of people wanting to at least reach you out in the first place, and then make decisions if they want to continue. They're going to hear from others that, hey, this is really a good product or good service.
Yes, 100% agree. So, Mr. Mitchell, what will be your advice for those people out there who want to build their credibility?
I think it's really focusing on the right areas. It's, to me, showing up consistency, showing up with clarity of who you are and showing up consistently with that clarity. So for me, when I show up in the world, I have a, what comes, I call it a CPOP, your customer point of possibilities. I'm going to say, come up with how do you show up in the world and how can you express that in less than 10 words. So one of the areas that I show up is business owners making money using LinkedIn. Now, if you look at that, that's fairly consistent in terms of what it is and how it shows up and the feeling once you give. And unfortunately, there's so many bad actors that you need to actually see me and see the site and to see the things I'm doing. When I show up in the corporate world, the B2B space, it's Inc. 5,000 CEOs leading the future with executive gravitas. Now, when you look at my LinkedIn or look at my website and look around, I am consistently showing up that way. So I'm going to say to you, whatever your primary social media platform is, how does it show up? Is it you? If I talk to you in person, would it be the same information as I would get if I'd looked at your website or looked at your social media? And I want to make sure that you consistently show up the same way across multiple social media sites. And that's, if I'm going to say, where do you start? Get clarity and show up consistently with that clarity.
Clarity and consistency, people. And what are your short term and long term goals in writing itself?
The I have had multiple books be number one bestsellers on Amazon. I have had one book, and this was at the beginning, picked up by I call it the New York publisher, the bigger publishers. And they are such a, excuse me for anyone who's out there who's listening, they're such a pain to work with. It didn't seem like it was worthwhile, but I had to do it at least once. You know, the concept of a book is it is a phenomenal way to a get credibility, b to be able to communicate a message. And for me, it's never about how many books I sell because the truth is if I make more money on book sales, because I'd rather give away a ton of my books, because where I'm making money is not on the book sales. Now, that said, I've had many authors make six figures, as have I, in book sales, but that's not the important aspect. What's important is the book is being used for the next step. The book is being used for speaking or consulting or coaching or whatever that incremental element is. And so for me, you would ask me because this book has an older copyright. The area I'm working on now is I'm working on a PhD, and the dissertation incorporates and embodies that next book I'm writing. And so the next book will represent not just a good piece of knowledge given into the marketplace. And I'm going to be writing on executive gravitas and clarity in the business world, or rather the lack of clarity. So I'm going to talk about what positive clarity will do. And for me, when that gets published, that also means that I will be either done or well on my way to completing. Actually, let me rephrase that. I will be done with my PhD, and that'll be a pretty big milestone for me.
Yes. Mr. Mitchell Levy, congratulations for being best-selling author and soon to be a PhD. So, how does being credible contribute to leadership and influence?
It's the what's what happened in the old days. The old days being one in which command and control was the way in which you ran a business. what would happen is the concept of a leader was the person with the title. The current generation is not as excited about that. The current generation is, hey, not only do I want to work for a good person, I want to work for a company that adds value to the world. And so, if you're not a credible human, if you're not a good enough human to be followed, you won't have followers. If you don't have followers, you won't be a good leader, and subsequently, either the company won't do well, or the area that you're involved with won't do well. And so, the better you are at showing up and being a credible human, almost by definition, the better leader you will be. And the better leader you will be, the more value you'll bring to those around you, which includes not just the employees working with you, but also the customers taking advantage of the world, the investors who might be doing better based on the success of the company, and the partners you're working with. And so, credibility from a leader's perspective is really everything.
So, Mr. Mitchell, to sum up our episode for today, what mindset shift are essential for professionals to embody credibility authentically?
You know, it's important I'm going to step back on the area of clarity. So, who are you? And I'll give you a formula. The the biggest clarity formula I could possibly share is you, if you're going to be credible, if you are a credible human, you are of service to others. So I want to give you two things to think about. First, who do you serve? So who is the audience that you serve? One, two, or three words. The second is from their perspective, what is the pain point or what is their pleasure point that they want to reach? If you can contain that in less than 10 words, now you have a statement that embodies clarity. With that level of clarity, you need the consistency to show up everywhere with that. If you could do that, you will be above. I'm going to tell you, 98% of thought leaders I interviewed do not have clarity. You'll read that in the Credibility Nation book. If 98% don't have clarity and you do, you're already above many of them.
Mr. Mitchell Levy, thank you so much for sharing your empowering books to us and looking forward for more coaching, more empowering books like this. So can you please invite our listeners to support all your books?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I was going to say the one place if you want to learn about the stuff I'm doing in addition to Credibility Nation is just go to my website, mitchelllevy.com. If you were inspired, book time on my calendar or take advantage of one of the programs we have out there. That's mitchelllevy.com. Thank you.
Yes, yes, people, let's support Mr. Mitchell Levy because if you support him, more coaching to come, more empowering books to come. So, Mr. Mitchell, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. It's been a pleasure to get to know you a little bit better.
More to come, people. See you soon. So, Mr.